Hello. It's Mathieu. Or Matthew. Just call me Matthew, I guess. I'll settle on Matthew from this point onward. No shaved beard. That is because it does not have a shaver, a razor, or anything that could help me shave because I lost it. A common theme of my life lately actually pertains to that. And it is losing my grasp on certain things. I have not been doing too great, as is the theme for a lot of my latest videos, and I went into this a bit 2 videos ago. I said I felt I was doing a lot better, which I was in fairness, and that I wanted to just put it out there and smile to the camera, which I did. This is different. Because see, the truth is, my moment of rejuvenation has come with I believe it is a calamity, has come with a truth, let's put it that way. Which is that for every moment which I feel happy, there are 3 which I feel petrified or depressed or saddened. And those are always the moments that hit the hardest, actually. There is a struggle in my mind, and it does not match what is outside of it. Not necessarily through my actions, although I hide it very well. With my parents, with my brother, with my fellow group house stay-ins. I'm a very happy person, for the most part. A bit depressed, a bit capable of being on the brink at times, but never to the point that I actually get frustrated or that, I proclaim something noticeable. But in my mind, it's totally different. In my room, it's totally different. I'll sometimes just flip the fuck out. Just sitting on my bed, I'll tell my voices, shut the fuck up, And that's been the story of my life. For the past about year and a month and a half. It's been telling my voices my truth, but it's been proclaiming my truth to a lie, more specifically. And it saddens me quite dearly that this is the path that I've went down. Because maybe there is a sincere and whole point insanity within yourself. Now, the mental struggle that defines me, let's go into that. Because that's this video's title, of course. There is a struggle within myself that has led to the blasphemy of everything about me. A struggle which is incomprehensible within its root, which is, hatred, which is a discerned dichotomy between wanting to obsess and not wanting to obsess, but at the same time always wanting to obsess, and that's on its end. Because I believe, I've went into this a few times before, but I believe my schizophrenia, it isn't wholly unconscious, It has a consciousness to it. It's alive in its own way. Yet it lives inside of me, and that is a frightening concept, of course. But despite its consciousness, it is filled with hatred. It is filled with disdain. It is filled with dishonesty. It is filled with a lens that pertains to a lack of kindness and of simply evil. With everything that is to lead to potentially a better future for me. And that is sad. That is immensely sad, no? And the truth is I find it most saddening of all is that I think we're as people were one of our biggest struggles in life is our health. One of our biggest struggles in life is our own minds. It ain't even what's outside of it. It's not working. It's not making a living. It's what we deal with in here. Because it's never easy when you struggle with something. And the thing that troubles me about my schizophrenia is this very apparent and easy way to gaslight me into, me giving proclamations of hatred back, but most importantly, me forgetting who I am, me forgetting what it is I stand for, and me forgetting the soulful tenor within me. And through this gaslighting, it forms a pathway in my mind that I'm forced to cooperate with, I feel deep down. And I'm forced to oblige to. And it rewires or unfolds me, preferably unfolds me, every time. To the point that I no longer know who I am. I just know that I breathe and lay still and do not say a word. And yet to my voices, that is too much. And the truth is this. I'm kind of starting to become worn the fuck down. I'm excessively worn down by it. Because I cannot play video games without feeling worse. I cannot die once in a video game without feeling actual frustration fill my psyche in a way that never happened before. And, my voice is proclaiming you have been injected with psychopathic DNA through an advertisement or through words themselves. I cannot live life in joy without it being seen as grandiose and amazing in fairness, but then the voice in my head gets jealous. It's like I'm dealing with a toddler who constantly gets frustrated at anything and everything. And somehow my life is the centerpiece of humanity, even though it's quite a boring one. And that alone hurts. And the truth is this. My story was meant to unfold. My reality, my life was meant to go past this point. I find it depressing where I am, Because I'm in a group housing where I does not accomplish anything. Where my memory is constantly messed with. Where my mind is constantly made to reject notions of hope and of passion and of just joy. I'm made to believe in my head that I will be summoned somewhere after death, presumably as a means to an end for me to kill myself. Somewhere called an afterlife, which I think is kind of a load of horseshit. No, honestly. And the truth is most of all, I pertain to this reality of mine, I guess think or conform or act within my reality based on my premonitions, but most importantly based on my instinct. But it's never truly what I feel. Because I act happy, I act like a happy person. Not saddened, happy. And that's kind of troubling to me sometimes because, well, when I'm with my dad, sometimes I'm sure if I was anyone else but me, I'd just vent. I would just vent about what I'm going through. But because I'm me, I just don't. I just feign happiness. And tomorrow, I predict that we will go out for a lunch, and I will feign happiness, like I always do. Let me just make sure something weird. So, what does all this mean? Well, the truth is this. I believe that it all started about a year and maybe 5 months ago now. 4 months. I kind of lost count, But I kind of reversed this condition for a little bit. I kind of took it out of me. And then it came back with 10 times the vengeance. And that was frightening, inherently. And then they put me through something called psychic trials, where I was to pretend I was a psychic, even though the whole point was that at the end of the whole journey, I was able to summon products with my mind, even though that was an illogical lie and a fallacy. And so I didn't. And now I sit here in this chair. My memory is fried to shit. My mind is generally pretty fried to shit. My creativity is mostly fried to shit. And it's all because the voices that live in my head have a huge thing against me. Massively against me. And it's troubling. It's very troubling. Because, well, the truth is there is some kind of structured hierarchy behind this. It just doesn't pertain to reality. Makes me think about how advanced the mind is, And, every single day, I start to think that I get more and more enthralled and more into and more observance, more and more in kindred with the idea and the reality and the realities, preferably, that are set forward in front of me. And that sucks. That really sucks. Because the truth is maybe, just maybe, if I could ignore the unignorable, if I could achieve the impossible and actually just live free of the very unnoticeable yet very real barrage that lays upon me, where, the hallucinations are minor, but the implications are major. And the control of the person's mind is even more so. Like, massive control up in here, If I could just let go of those last two. And just let the occasional, you're going to be sent to hell and tortured forever, play out in my head and ignore it and move on with my life. And not be detrimented so much by, a reality that doesn't exist. And maybe I'd be way fucking better for it. But I'm not. I'm really not. So we end up here. We end up in this situation. And it is the most depressing shit ever. See, the truth is stupid thoughts. I have not loved life. I have quite disliked life. I have heavily disliked life. I've disliked nearly everything that pertains to it, but it isn't because of life itself. Life itself is doing quite fine by me. Minus my restaurant addiction, I'm not even doing pot anymore. That's been gone for about 3 months. 2 months at least. Minus my restaurant addiction, I'm doing quite stellar. It's inside. It's in here where I'm doing terrible. And that creates a disconnect. Because you think through your actions, there is your mind. But what if my mind is just so sheltered from the truth because, well, through the abuse of voices it has been made to be? Because, it's not as simple as I experienced mental trauma and that's it. I actually got physically hurt. I do. My throat. There's something that a black man behind me called Jeffrey summons onto my throat. He calls it throat damage, and it actually hurts. It's uncomfortable, but it's sometimes a bit more. And they all have names, in my head, and it gets really sad at this point. It's really sad. Really fucking sad. Most, my quote unquote, of course, people in my head are people I know of. But every single fucking person is a decayer of my mind. They exist to decay me and insult me. They cannot live without worsening me. And that is their sole purpose in existence. It is to worsen who I am. And there is an implication there when I say the people thing, which is that empathy could be a route to go down. And unlike the last time, where I actually did empathize through arguments with my schizo, this time I do not care to do so anymore. I believe it is a wicked beast. That was slain, but wasn't really at the same time. I believe I was made to think that it was out of my mind, when it was always there, simply observing and conjuring what to think and what to do next. And I say what you think unironically because, well, there is a halfway independence thought process. To voices, they just work within a strict limit of killing your minds. I mean, that's always been a debatable point. It always has been a debatable point. I'm leaning toward no, surprisingly enough, so more so a theory thrown out there, but there's hints of it that ring true. One thing's for sure. I've been kind of dealt, a really horrible hand. When you walk and you hear your footsteps be pronounced as left and right, you're kind of dealt a horrible hand. When a mischievous person in a darkened room plays the Rickroll song in your head, and I wish I was kidding, you've kind of been dealt the worst hand of all time. Minus, cancer and all that. Minus things that kill you. When you have memory problems that stem from your bully from high school telling you that they're needed under the jurisdiction of, I don't know, eventual hope or some bullshit, then it all kind of just amounts to the most cynical thing ever. And it never really means anything that is hopeful. It's just kind of all hopeless. And the truth is this. I record these YouTube videos. I recorded these YouTube videos as therapy. This is the first one on this channel in at least a long time, but probably a period, that has felt like actual therapy. That has felt like I'm actually venting, instead of just putting a blatantly literal truth out under the guise of, I don't know. Under the guise of something negative, something, I'm losing my memory yet again. Troubling. I love you. Don't forget that. I don't love myself. Don't forget that either. Even though that sounds kind of pretentious and douchey. I'll say that. I'll say that much. But when you're kind of made to hate yourself, it changes everything, doesn't it? It kind of really does. Because, well, the truth is I believe deep down I could be a really happy guy. I could totally be, and I probably am in a certain way. There's probably a part of me that's excessively fucking happy, even with all the shit I get, which is, the shit I get is pretty fucking significant. If it was just the voices, like if you cut down the mental manipulation, it was just the voices, life would kind of be beautiful, It's what is in my head. And, yeah, I'm gonna go. Thank you and farewell to all of you. You're wonderful.